Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist. And today I want to give y'all a little bit of a history lesson. And this is in light of the recent brutal beating and murder of Tyree Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee. I hope I pronounced his first name right. But he was brutally beaten and subsequently died from his injuries at the hands of 5 Black police officers. So let's get into it. So first, they released the video footage of this brutal beating by these 5 police officers, now ex-police officers, as they were immediately fired. But they released that footage yesterday, and that's been up in the air for people. Listen, the constant releasing of Black trauma is really problematic. But police are public officials, so of course people are like, the public deserves to see it. They wear body cams for a reason. Put it out and you can choose not to watch it. Know your boundaries and your limits, protect your peace, protect your mental space, and understand that these videos are traumatic. And vicarious trauma is a thing. It does not have to be happening to you for you to be traumatized by it. So just be mindful. You don't have to watch it. We don't have to keep exposing ourselves to these modern day lynchings because that's what they are. But anyway, blessing. So I've heard a lot of people in my community say it be your own people. And what that means is it was 5 Black officers and this was a Black young man. Like, why would you do this to him? You are Black. Why would you do this? And we cannot be surprised by that. We can't, because here is the thing. A cop is a cop. And that is not to say all police officers are bad. Do I believe most of them are? Yes. Do I believe one rotten apple spoils the bunch? Yes. Do I believe silence is compliance? Yes. Do I believe that thin blue line is violent? Yes. Because to protect people who are doing harm, you are just as much at fault. You are culpable. So, but here's the thing. Historically, during slavery, you had the master, you had the overseer, and you also had a person known as the slave driver. And slave drivers were appointed and hand selected by the master to a position of authority on the plantation. And their main job above all else was to maintain discipline in the fields and order in the quarters amongst their fellow slaves. Discipline and order, law and order. Their job was literally to maintain their own people. And they were hand selected for a reason. They were not going to select someone that was of a Nat Turner mindset. This had to be a slave that could be trusted to go against his own. So the only difference between slave drivers of slavery and the Black police officers is that these Black police officers elected to be modern day slave drivers. Also, let me add real quick, just like with the slave drivers, Black police officers need to realize that that thin blue line only protects you so much. At the end of the day, you're still Black, just like that slave driver was still a slave. Just because they got appointed and selected and were liked by their master doesn't mean that if they ever did anything wrong, they wouldn't be treated like the slave that they were. So we saw these 5 Black officers get fired and charged in 2.5 seconds. They did not get put on paid leave. It did not take that long. It didn't take any time. And here's the thing. I totally agree that it shouldn't take any time, but it shouldn't take any time in any other case either. But it was very quick and swift with these 5 Black officers. But they deserve to be fired swiftly. They deserve to be charged. They deserve to go to prison. They deserve to be in prison forever or burn in hell, whatever comes first. But we cannot neglect the part that race plays on that part of it. We do not see this happen this fast in any other case. So that's also a thing to keep in mind. That thin blue line doesn't erase your nice melanated skin. You are still Black. And you found out. You messed around and found out quick. Now, also a little bit more education for y'all. In light of modern day slave drivers, which we are no longer slaves, so these are modern day, let's just call them community drivers. They are maintaining discipline and order, law and order in their own communities. And they are making sure to uphold the mindsets that we are so adamantly trying to break and fight against. But nonetheless, another lesson real quick to add to that. Saw this on Twitter and yes, spot on. 1. The definition of a double marginality. It refers to situations where Black officers treat Black suspects harshly to gain the respect of their white counterparts and to avoid giving the impression that they are biased towards people of their own race. Police Training 101. Thank you, Miss Angela Harris, for tweeting that, because yes, I don't know if all of y'all have ever seen Boys in the Hood, but there's a scene in there where they are pulled over by a Black cop and a white cop, and it is the Black cop who exhibits this very thing. And we also cannot forget that there are plenty of Black people who deal in anti-Blackness and self-hatred, which leads me to this next little tweet. If you think the Memphis police officers had to be white in order to exhibit anti-Blackness, you need to take that AP African American Studies course that Ron DeSantis just banned in Florida. Period. These things are embedded in this society, in this nation. We cannot keep ignoring it, and I will not stop talking about it because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for us to see our own brutally murdered on camera. I bet it's uncomfortable for Nichols' family to be dealing with the loss of their loved one. I bet it's very uncomfortable for his mother. So do you think that we should care that talking about this makes you uncomfortable? We do not care. I'm going to continue to speak out about it. Police brutality needs to end, no matter the color of the police. Police need to be held accountable, no matter the color of the police. We need to understand that all of our own are not for us, and that is historical. Because even though we can look back and say that those slave drivers had no choice, which they did not, they still had to have a particular mindset and personality from jump to even be selected. Because they weren't going to select a Nat Turner to be a slave driver, now were they? So that's just my little history lesson for y'all today, so that y'all realize it doesn't always have to be white to be upholding white supremacy. Y'all have a nice day.